Hello and welcome to Feeling Seen, the podcast about the movies and characters that make us feel seen. I'm joined this week by an old pal, one of those great, generous conversation partners I've gotten to interview a few times over the years. And that's because he is the mind behind the Purge franchise. He wrote all 5 of those movies, as well as the Purge TV show, and directed the first 3 films in the franchise. This is the Purge King. And now he has got a chilling new movie called The Home. Some senior exploitation, I feel like, kind of like B-movie horror for your appetites out there. Starring Pete Davidson. We will talk about that and his lifelong relationship with the movie and the character that first made him feel seen, Rocky Balboa, who is first introduced to us in the Oscar-winning 1976 film, Rocky. James DeMonaco, what else do the people need to know about you before we get started today?
Oh, I'm a huge Yankee fan, and
all right.
I live it.
I mean, how could I introduce you without saying son of Staten Island?
That's right. I was going to say it's from Staten Island, like Pete Davidson. Yep. Nothing much more. That's who I am.
All right. Well, what I want to start out with is how is Staten Island these days? This has been within your work. This is clearly a part of like your life and identity. How is Staten Island these days for you?
It's still got great pizza. The best pizza in the world is Staten Island. We actually have Pete wears a shirt in the movie for people who are looking for it. My favorite pizza is called Lee's Pizza, and he wears the shirt of Lee's. If you come to Staten Island, you must go to Lee's Pizza. No, Staten's good. Staten has become very political.
Really?
Not to get too political right now. It's
sure.
become a very political place that, so it's changed in a way. Our current leader has gotten a lot of support here on the island. And, so it wasn't a very political place up until the last, I'd say 8 years. So it's changed a little there. Yeah. And, so Pete and I talk about that quite often and, how it's changed politically or just emerged politically. Something that he spoke to, brought people out. How else has Staten Island changed? It's got a lot more traffic now.
Did it become like a slept on, like hidden gem, and then people found it and it's not slept on anymore kind of thing?
Yeah, it was once when I was really young. It was really like I always tell people my childhood was Stand By Me meets Goodfellas. It was very, very Italian, but it had big forest areas. It still got some, but there's been a lot of building over the years. I think it was a lot of people from Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx came this way. The journey normally is this. We always joke. It's Brooklyn, Staten Island, Jersey, Florida. That's normally...
That's a life's arc. That's a life story right there.
That's a life story of most people in this area. But Staten, it's Pete and I were joking the other day. We were doing interviews together, and Pete was saying, which really cracked me up, and there's a line actually on Sex and the City that was exactly, I don't think Pete saw Sex and the City, but a very early episode of Sex and the City, Carrie comes and meets a firefighter from my wife watched it. I watched from the background. Just to make it clear, Carrie comes and meets a firefighter from Staten Island, and she says Staten Island resembles a European country from 20 years ago. And and my wife, Pete on an interview the other day said Staten Island's still caught in 1983. There is something about it that hasn't seemingly, other than politically,
bit of a snow globe, kind of like trapped in time.
It's a little trapped in time, which is beautiful on points.
Sure.
And sometimes it's not. So it's got it's like anything in life. It's got its great points and it's got its flaws too. So as I do.
Connecting into like in the work that you're doing now, tell me about Pete leading The Home.
Yeah.
It feels like the movies that he's really carried, you have The King of Staten Island, you have this.
Yep.
Like, it feels like that part, and obviously that's a part of his identity from, like, Saturday Night Live, too. Like, him and Colin Jost, like, these sons of Staten Island.
Exactly.
And then having fun with that at various points, and, like, the ways they represent very different parts of the experience of growing up in Staten Island. But he was so sincere in this role.
Yes.
And I really was like, damn, I feel like this is like an extra layer of Pete Davidson I haven't seen yet. And I wanted to hear about like picking someone who like very, like, I would imagine when you start talking to this guy, like you connect with them over a very like automatic shared experience. Yes. I wanted to hear about working with someone from where you're from, where that is such a part of like the identity of your guys' lives and work, and then how that comes in to the work you're making itself.
That's a great question, Joan. So we met, I had a party. There was a local kind of hangout called Nucci's. It was a great restaurant, Italian restaurant, 5 minutes from here. And I had the first Purge, Purge 1, meaning the original. When I say the first Purge, some people
I know. I have to
it's like
specify
yeah, it's like not
original
four,
Purge.
the original
Original
Purge.
Purge.
So the original Purge, we had a party at Nucci's because there was no premiere. It was such a low budget thing. So I had a small party for local people, family and friends, and Pete was the busboy at Nucci's, and he had just seen the movie because I didn't even have an opening night. I had it like a week later, and he came over and he's like, "Hey man, you made that movie. I really liked it. I'm Pete. I'm a young actor, comedian."
God, no way.
Yeah, and he was a kid. He was a kid. So I got to, we just kept in touch after that over the years. I think Staten Island people in the arts in some way kind of stay in touch with each other.
Yeah.
So we all kind of like, we all know each other in some little way. But Pete, started speaking to me. We started talking here and there, kept in touch. Long story short, COVID hits, and Pete, right before COVID, Pete and I were writing a script together. Now he's Pete Davidson. He's on SNL. He's making
yeah.
King of Staten Island. I went to the set for it because they were shooting very close. They shot at a great pizzeria called DeMonaco, so I was there that day. So we kept in touch, and it was wonderful to see him blowing up. I always knew him, though, to get to the heart of the question. I always knew the non-famous Pete first.
Right.
Just a kid, and I knew him as a non-celebrity. And I also knew him as a kid who was very soulful,
Yeah.
he wasn't just a funny kid. He was a very soulful kid. He spoke about serious things. So there's always that public persona that we see, but Pete wasn't,
Right.
he was something else. I knew the other side of that, which was this, I think that Pete doesn't get mad when I said he experienced some tragedy in his youth, as we all know.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's all very open about that. So I knew that part of him. So Adam and I, when we wrote the script, we had seen a little glimpse of it in King of Staten Island. And I think Big Time Adolescence, there was a couple of scenes where he was a little bit. But when we were writing The Home, we were writing it during COVID. Adam's family, Cantor, he's just a really close friend from the island, my best friend from the island. He was in a bubble with my family. His two boys played with my daughter. So we were like the only people who were seeing each other. Remember that was crazy time of the bubbles?
The pods, yeah.
The pods. Yeah, the pods. And so Adam was coming here almost every night just because we needed human interaction. We came up with this idea. We both had weird experience at elderly care facilities when we were very young. Neither one of us came from money, so they weren't high-end facilities. And you see weird things. As a young person, I think, you're very impressionable. So we saw things that were very, like the image in The Home of the man facing the wall was straight out of the facility I visited my uncle at. And it stayed with me forever. It was just one of these things. And long story short, we came up with the idea. We started writing it. We finished it. And we're like, well, who could play? I never write to an actor. I create someone in my mind so I don't, until I'm finished, then I start thinking. So like with the characters 26, 27, who do we have? What names? You always want a name to get financing, right? You're always thinking like, who could be, get us help us get financing. It's a terrible way to think, but that's the truth of the business.
No, of course. Yeah.
Right? It's like, that's it. We're not going to get Chalamet. We're like, okay, we're not getting Timothy. So that's a given. So who? And then we both like, what about up the street, Pete? He's living at his mom's. He's right here.
Yeah.
He's an old friend. We sent him the script immediately. He's like, I'm in, guys. I love this. It's weird. It's like this weird little puzzle. And
bet he read that ending was like,
yeah, he's like, and that's what he said. Exactly. You nailed it, George. That's like straight out of his mouth. He's like, I need to do the last 20 minutes of this film. And he was in, and then we got lucky. Bill Block wanted to finance it, and we were off to the races right after COVID kind of, loosened and we were allowed to emerge. We were like, I think the second wave of films in that timeline. And that's how Pete was involved. And yeah, just knowing, so we did have a shorthand, which was great. We had a shorthand of just, there was trust, which is, I think that's the biggest thing between between a director and an actor is in those early rehearsals, if you're lucky to have rehearsals and the early days on set and I've even spoken to actors where they don't have trust in their director. And that's a terrible way to make a film, I think, if an actor loses trust in their director. Luckily, Pete and I entered into that with trust already. And that was a wonderful thing to have because you usually have to, that first week is really, everybody's kind of feeling themselves out. It's like, like a prize fight. We're all looking at each other. Like Rocky, right? So it's so we had that, and that even worked. It was a tough shoot, as they always are, and that's okay. Having Pete there, like my little brother, I always said, and I represented his older brother for him. It was a great support system and, really long nights and not enough money, all that crap.
The indie dream, the indie film dream.
Exactly. We all want it. And then we're like, oh my God, what are we doing? This is, we should be I used to say we're very blessed, guys. Let's, not in the middle of all my freak outs, I'm like, okay, I'm very blessed. I'm making movies with friends and that's a great thing. So it was cool.
Well, there was like watching, like as I say so often on the show, one of the great like gifts of getting to talk to people about the characters that they bring the movies to discuss is that even if I've seen something, when I'm rewatching it and reconsidering it with the person in mind who's made the selection, I'm trying my best to like take what I'm reading about them from interviews, or perhaps I've interviewed them in the past, and really trying to put a different lens on it, and thinking of kind of like their bodies of work and the way they talk about things. So watching Rocky, and obviously a movie I've seen numerous times, but then watching it on the heels of The Home, and then seeing in Pete's performance what really felt like something that almost stripped back the persona of Pete Davidson, and really was like a performance that felt like it almost could have happened before SNL and everything. And then it was like, oh, hey guys, he made this movie. Yeah. And then to watch Rocky and see, obviously this is an Academy Award winning movie from writer-directors Sylvester Stallone. And that is not divorced from the mythology of Sylvester Stallone, but the mythology became so much Rambo and everything that comes after that I like the kind of idea of like big, swole, sweaty, sort of swaggering Sylvester kind of overshadowed a bit, like Planet Hollywood Sylvester Stallone overshadows a bit like that, like guy who's just easily underestimatable, like the guy you judge the book by the cover, and you don't, you see this big Italian, and you're not necessarily thinking like, oh, that guy's gonna write an Academy Award nominated film. And I wanted to hear from you about that, about those, like, that connection to that kind of character, and then kind of bringing forth in your work with this movie, with The Home, another guy who sort of like exists apart from the idea of him.
Exactly.
In the movie that you made.
Yeah. Listen, Rocky was such a monumental change for me for so many different reasons. It was probably, God, I was born 7, I guess, when I saw it. My parents were big cinephiles, but in their own way, like meaning they were, they were not studied cinephiles, just loved movies, right? So I remember it was the first movie where we were so blown away by the movie, the four of us, it was me, my mom, dad, sister, that my dad we was silent, the movie ended. Silent, and my dad said, "You guys want to stay again?" And we just stayed.
Wow! Oh, wow!
Stayed in the
and for
theater.
A 7-year-old to be like, "I'm going to sit still in this theater again."
So I think what hit all of us, the family, and then what hit me, the first thing that hit me that made me feel, getting back to the motif of what we're talking about, feeling seen, was that it was a depiction of Italian Americans and people in my neighborhood that I had never seen before in a movie. I was like, "Wow, they're writing about people I know. I know these people. I know them not only ethnically, I know how they see. Even though it was Philly, it sounded like New York. I was in Brooklyn at the time. Before I moved to Staten Island, it sounded like Brooklyn or Staten Island or anywhere in Bronx.
Yeah, that really just like familial enclave.
Exactly. It just felt real in a way that was so, I was like, they make movies about people like my people at the time, So that was feeling like, wow, oh my God. And then to see that it was written by an Italian man. I was like, oh, because I was already obsessed with movies at 7. So I was already like deep into and I didn't know, I guess I didn't know I was yet, but my mom now, when she looks back, I did know. I mean, she said there was something called the 4:30 movie in New York, where every day at 4:30, right after a soap opera called Edge of Night, they would have the 4:30 movie on ABC. And it was wonderful. It was my film school. And she said from the age of 5, no matter what I was doing outside in Brooklyn or Staten Island, she would yell, "It's 4:25. All the kids knew James is going to go watch the 4:30 movie." And they had Paul Newman Week, Steve McQueen Week. They had Army Week, Monster Week, Godzilla Week. It was my film school. I saw everything. What I didn't know, and this is what Rocky did, because I remember the first screening when we watched it that day, the crowd was cheering for the final fight, like the audience, right? In the theater. I'd never seen that before.
Yeah.
People were up and cheering. I'm like, this is insane. They're feeling that communal. So movies were touched me deeply up until that time, but I thought I was alone in the pursuit. I thought this was a solo kind of obsession of James DeMonaco. And
you found movies.
I found movies. I'm the guy who I can't stop thinking about these things for days on end, and they make deep impressions upon me. To see others be touched similarly to the point of crying and cheering, it opened my eyes to the power of cinema. It opened my eyes that people like me who don't come from a lot of money and, we come from ethnic neighborhoods, we can make cinema. Stallone and then seeing the underdog of the Rocky character succeed, and the underestimated, hero succeed.
Would you be interested in fighting Apollo Creed for the World Heavyweight Championship?
No.
Listen, Rocky. Apollo's seen you fight. He likes you. He wants to fight you.
Well, it's just that you see, I fight in clubs, and I'm really a ham and egg. This guy, he's the best, and it wouldn't be such a good fight. But thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Rocky, do you believe that America is the land of opportunity?
Yeah.
Apollo Creed does. And he's going to prove it to the whole world by giving an unknown a shot at the title. And that unknown is you. He picked you, Rocky. Rocky, it's the chance of a lifetime. You can't pass it by. What do you say?
So in so many different ways, the movie just spoke to me and made me say, oh my God, this is... First of all, movies have a power beyond me. Like, they don't just affect me, they affect others, which was a wonderful revelation that this was a communal thing, not a solo thing. It would have been okay. I guess it would have been okay if it was solo, but it would have been a little private obsession of mine.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Nurtured differently.
Exactly. Much differently. So those three things kind of coalesce. And I think, so Rocky was like this pinnacle of driving me forward toward a life in cinema. It was what really drove the obsession, the passion, and then I coupled that with like Mean Streets, when I saw more Italian Americans portrayed realistically, and then when I read the Wanderer's book, I was like, people write about guys like me in the neighborhood. I couldn't believe that. I thought it was such a specific thing, like the way I grew up. To see it portrayed on screen was revelatory. It was game changing. And then obviously it's almost become its own subculture, from Goodfellas, Sopranos. I mean, we can go on and on about the Italian American experience.
How come you didn't break this guy's thumb like I told you?
How do you know I didn't break it?
You don't think I hear things? Did I give you a job this morning or I didn't?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
So why don't you break his thumb like I told you to? When you don't do what I tell you to do, you make me look bad, Rock.
I figure if I break the guy's thumb, he gets laid off, right? He can't make...
Yeah, well, don't
money,
figure it. Let me do the
up.
figuring, okay, Rock? From here on, just let me do the figuring. These guys think that we're running some kind of charity or something. They're gonna get a flight. From here on in, do what I tell you to do, because it's bad for my reputation. You understand? You got it, Rock?
I got it. Hey, how do you spell Del Rio?
Look up in a dictionary, Rock.
Come on. Hey, I won't let that happen no more about the thumb.
So long, meatbag.
I should have broke your thumbs!
Watching Sylvester Stallone, he still feel like, even knowing of like the Scorsese and De Niro of it all, like being a genre of cinema to be an Italian American, The Sopranos, like watching Sylvester Stallone, it still feels like, God, it really, like, that guy kind of still feels like one of one. Like, I think of I was watching Rocky this time, having watched, up to this point, I watched Lords of Flatbush. Which he made just, like, a couple years earlier than this. And it's just, again, like that, like, meathead guy in high school.
Exactly.
And just big and lumbering. And, I don't know, just the range or the canniness to know that he physically embodied an archetype. And so like he got these kind of roles and he leaned into them, but that he also was like capable of writing and directing Academy Award winning cinema, and like having the intelligence and the shrewdness, whatever, the long game strategy to like, I'm going to get myself in this way and I'm going to center myself in this thing that's going to become like kind of one of the great movies of all time. But like to I don't know. It still doesn't feel like that created a mold of sort of that figure who it still feels like for so long in his career. Like if you, and coming back so believably in the Creed extension of the Rocky franchise to be just like the old guy on the block and knowing and seeing everything we have from Sylvester Stallone in the intervening decades, but to still embody that authenticity of like the Italian stallion brawler. Like
exactly.
They're just, he kind of, nobody else came along like him. Like, you don't watch Scorsese an interview with his, like, suit and tie. Like, he feels like an archivist. Like, he's a film nerd at heart. And you can still look at Sylvester Stallone and think meathead and be like, but he is also, like, an incredibly enduring, intelligent, successful cinematic figure. I don't know. There's just a sort of mambo that he pulled off that I really don't feel like you still saw that came as, like, a form of career path after him.
He's still a figure here. He's almost a mythological figure. It's the strangest.
Wow.
I remember in school, people would have posters of, they would wear, like carry his posters around, just holding them, walking through the hallways of Stallone. He just represented.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if you saw my last movie, Jordan. This Is the Night. Did you?
Yeah.
You saw This Night. So I made a whole movie about the power of Rocky III, which represented all the Rockies. And really was a representation of all cinema for me, but it was the power of Rocky. It had a hold on. I used to think, again, it was only Italian-American viewers in Staten Island and Brooklyn. But then I realized, my God, it went beyond that. That's the beauty, I think, of that Stallone meathead character that he still can embody. I was blown away by his performance in Creed 1. I thought he should have won the Academy Award. To this day, I'm still very upset by that. He didn't win.
Well, and you look at First Blood, original First Blood.
Amazing.
Like that is an anguished story of a veteran fucked over by the country he left to defend, and then is come back and then is hunted down in a sundown town. Like
exactly. And that movie only would be made today probably independently. And which makes
Rebel
me so
Ridge,
sad.
I feel like something like where
Netflix,
like you have exactly, and you have a filmmaker who predominantly like works independently and then
Jeremy,
got this thing
exactly.
Jeremy Saulnier. Like that guy is far from mainstream. And that thing lands on streaming. We're like, holy Jesus, Aaron Pierre's a movie star, and you're like, where was this 3,000 screens ago?
Exactly, and that's the time we're in. And not to get into now studio politics, but it's like 20 years ago, Rebel Ridge is in theaters. 30 years ago, it's in theaters, right? It's like, and I'm watching a lot of movies like that recently saying, could you imagine this movie? I think I was watching Body Heat or even Basic Instinct. I'm like, these were in theaters. They would never be in theaters now. It's it's really changed, as we know, but not to get into the politics.
Sure.
We almost all forget how good Rocky is as a film, I think.
Yeah.
Not.
I do. I do.
I do too.
The myth eclipses the reality, and then I go back and watch it again. I'm like, shit, this is so good.
It's so good. And nothing against Sly. I met Sly. He was wonderful. He was great. He showed me cut scenes like from previous movies, and he liked my film, which was a great honor. The one that was about him, and so we had a great day I spent at his house, and truly wonderful man to me. But I think his body, because he did so much work, right? He's done so much, and anyone who does that much work, any of us, is going to be good and bad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think some of the bad, from Cobra to whatever you want to, Stop on My Mom Will Shoot was one of them, I think.
Right, yeah.
yeah. Some of these, I think, do eclipse the brilliance of Rocky. I would put Rocky right up there with the great 70s films. I mean, it's a beautiful screenplay. It's an underdog. He loses the final fight. This is not but he wins the girl. So it's got to win, but he loses. Again, something that probably a studio would not allow now. But this is not studio filmmaking. It was an independent film. It has a darkness to it. Burt Young's performance is really dark and strange if you really watch it.
That's right, I'm not good enough to meet with Gazzo. Woo, that's what I think of Gazzo. Now you're a big shot fighter on the way up. You don't even throw a crumb to your friend Paulie. When I go and get your meat every morning, you forgot that night I even give you my sister too. Auntie would say that. I'm a pig. A pig gets you the best. You're such a loser! I don't get married because of you! You can't live by yourself! I put you two together and you... Don't you forget it! You owe me! You owe me! What do I owe you? You're supposed to be good to me! What do I owe you, Polly? What do I owe you? I feed you good! I cook for you, I clean for you, I pick up your dirty clothes! I take care of you, Polly! I don't owe you nothing! And you made me feel like a loser! I'm not a loser!
And again, I think that's been eclipsed by what the myth of Sly, right? What he's become. But then we saw it again come back in Creed that this man's as this character, this man is brilliant. This is something so iconic here. And he was still able to tap into it, which I think showed his love of the character and his acting abilities that sometimes we forget that he was amazing in that role.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on, Adrian, it's true. I was nobody. That don't matter either, you know? Because I was thinking, it really don't matter if I lose this fight. It really don't matter if this guy opens my head either. Because all I want to do is go the distance. Nobody's ever gone the distance with Creed. And if I can go that distance, you see, and that bell rings and I'm still standing. I'm gonna know for the first time in my life, you see, that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood.
It was a big game changer for me. 1976, big game changer. So
when did you start thinking like, hey, maybe this stuff could be my job? Like, I get to make this stuff? And did it feel like there was a pathway to that for you? Were you like, nah, not guys from Staten Island?
no, it was real. And I thank my parents here. So I started writing, I guess I started writing my first script about 11. I was writing very young. I discovered Sid Field's book, The Art of Screenwriting. And it showed the proper format. And Rocky was in that book. I'll never forget. So one of the Sid, he has something called the paradigm that he swears great movies. Something happens between page 20 and 25, the first plot point, midpoint, second plot point on page 75, 80. And he broke down Rocky and Chinatown. I'll never forget. Those are the two scripts he analyzes in there. So again, Rocky being a great influence to my early writing too. I got to see the screenplay in Sid's book. So I started writing, but I had no path. Literally, like you said, there was no path to anything.
Right.
Like it was just Staten Island. And I always say I feel like high schools should be should teach courses about career paths in the world, because I think when you grow up in certain places in America, I think if you grow up in Manhattan, it's much different. But when you grow up in a place like Staten Island, which is really a blue collar working man town, you're really taught that there's really some city jobs. There's maybe there's Wall Street. You hear about Wall Street. That was a potential.
Right.
But city cop, fireman, city, maybe Wall Street if you're into math or whatever.
Yeah.
But the career paths are very limited. Hairdresser, teacher, that's it. Whereas there's so many more, right? So, but for me, it was singular. It was like, how do I get into film? But I didn't know one person. But my parents they did not stop me from writing. I would stay home on Friday nights when my friends were going out. I'd be writing. So all that kind of nerdy stuff, because I was just obsessed, truly obsessed. Because they just moved me so much that I had to be part of it. And Rocky and Apocalypse Now were probably the two big influences that drove me to wanting to do it. So yeah, there was no path. There was just no path. So when did it become real? My God, it's a great question, Joe. I don't know. I just kept doing it. It was the strangest thing, right? My friends were getting jobs. I was bartending. I got into film school for a little while before I quit. I met someone that led to some unique opportunities. We won the Student Academy Award on a short film that we made. And that led to, I wrote a movie with him that he was supposed to direct called Jack. And then we sold it, and that became a movie called Jack that was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, one of my heroes. Movie wasn't very good, but I got to live with Francis for a month, which was an amazing experience.
It's incredible.
But I remember being with Coppola and so speaking about Rocky, distinctly speaking to him about how beautiful he thought the movie was. And it was right around when he was cutting, I think, Apocalypse, where he was just finishing shooting. So he'd seen it and was blown away by it. And so even it's great to hear that a filmmaker was touched by a film that you are touched by.
Oh, God, yeah.
But when it became real, I guess it didn't become real until, I don't know if it's still real. Like I still, that's why I can't pinpoint a moment, because I'm not sure. Every time I finish a movie, there's still that part of me, that young man that says, am I ever going to get to do this again? Is someone actually going to give me, because the unfortunate part of the business is that we need millions of dollars to make our vision. And that, someone has to truly trust you. And, we're not looking at a 25-cent canvas and a bottle of paint. You're asking for a lot of cash to get these things going. So there's always that part of me that I'll never stop writing. Like I know that, but will I ever get to that next level where someone trusts me with 2 million, 10 million, 20 million, whatever it is. If they don't, I'll probably go make a movie on my iPhone for a grand or 10 grand, So I don't know if it's ever felt real. It feels real, I guess, when I'm sitting in the theater and watching a movie. But even when I'm watching my own movie, it still feels completely unreal. It feels, it becomes almost like Sebastian Lemercier, my producer, who's produced everything I've written. He always says the movie is almost, it's something other than us. It's not us at some point. It tells us what to do. It'll dictate the edit. It'll tell us where to go. He's always like, trust the film. It'll tell us where to go. And in a weird way, at some point, even when I'm watching it, even if I've written and directed it, it feels separate from me. So there is almost an odd disconnect that starts to happen. Hence my answer, which is it never feels real.
Right. Yeah.
It never felt like I had that one moment where like, wow, I could do this. I still question myself, which I think is a good thing as an artist, where you should be questioning yourself and never become complacent and say, oh, I got this. Oh, I'm gonna. Yeah, that's
that actually gets at something exactly that, like, it's kind of random, but like because I've had such nice conversations with you in the past, that's something I've been thinking a lot about. It's been that movie, the worst person in the world. Yeah. That, like, on Twitter recently, I've seen people like circulating around the scene where her ex he's been diagnosed with cancer, and they're sitting and they're kind of having a nice like reconnect, and he has that beautiful scene where he talks about, he's like, even before I got sick, I gave up. I even knew music that I had started listening to that I'd never heard before. It was still old. And I just rewatched the movies that I loved from when I was young all of the time. And he's like, and it's not even nostalgia. It's just freezing myself in place, basically. And he's like, and now I don't have a future. And I wanted to hear from you, as somebody who like has such a grounded sense of place in a home that, like you said, is kind of a land that time forgot in certain ways. Like it can sort of sit in place, but being somebody who, ushered in this franchise that has a lot on its mind, and talking about like the sort of state of America and where it existed in a hyperbolic way, and that sort of like turning out to be not as hyperbolic as it was initially sort of staged to be. Like, how are you in your life with like what you take in and keeping your mind elastic, when I certainly know that like I'm very much retreating into the 90s right now, and like thrillers and espionage movies from, the ones that like they don't make them like they used to because things can hurt so much all of the time now. And I wanted to hear where you are in that, like comfort content versus like newness and discovery, and like how do you balance, like where are you at with that?
An amazing question. It's very, very relevant to me right now, because about a month ago, my wife actually sat me down, and because I pay deep attention to the political landscape to a point where, like I said, my wife sat me down, and I was riddled with anxiety recently. About a month ago, I stopped sleeping. I literally was up for 72 hours. Literally.
I
could not
you.
shut my eyes. And I've always had some form of insomnia. I have night terrors since I'm a little boy. So it's all contributed to now. But I think the anxiety was rising exponentially because of what was happening in the world, right?
Yeah.
Not only America, but across the political landscape, across the global landscape. It's really a strange, sad time, a tragic time. And I would pay deep attention because I felt it informed me as a human being, as an artist. You don't want to hide.
Yeah, I'm an information mainliner. Like
Exactly.
I'm
Right.
hours of news every day. Yeah.
Yeah. But my wife was like, you need to take a break. It's affecting you. It's manifesting itself, physically. You're literally not sleeping.
Yeah.
The days you have a daughter, you have to, pay attention to the family. So I tried to drop out between you and I, and it's very hard. Now, so what I did was, it's funny that you bring up you watching thrillers. I've gone back into watching just a lot of stuff from the 70s. But here's the weird thing about watching my favorite movies in the 70s. They're very political. So they bring up, now I'm back in, right? So now I'm like, okay, I can't do that. Because
whoa, turns out that's not a comfort movie.
That's not right. That's, even if it doesn't, like Cool Hand Luke, right? That's very political too. Okay, don't do that. Even though it doesn't seem political, it is. Right? So you start seeing the allegory and everything. So what I've done is I've gone back and I've been watching Cobra Kai again.
There we go.
Which is,
We've
to me,
found the
it's like Happy
salve.
Days. Exactly. It's so like soothing, and it reminds me of my childhood. Even though it's set now, it still reminds me of the 80s, obviously, because of Johnny and Daniel. And so in a weird way, but I still can't help but be that. I still am listening to my podcasts, but I try to do it in a way that's a little, because there's so much we can't do, right? We're so hamstrung by what can we do about all this terribleness, right?
Yeah.
And And that's my wife's point. She's like, you're feeding yourself. Yes, you write about it. That's something I can do. I write about it. The new Purge is it has a different, I'm taking on something different, but it's also very political in a way. So I do write about this stuff, so I can't hide from it, but I have to figure out how to process it in a more a healthier way, so that people need sleep, right? And like, so I need to sleep. So yeah, it's tough though. It's a tough time, I think, for everyone. I hear this from, I guess this is a collective thing that you and I are feeling. I hear this from a lot of people going through like, well, how do I absorb the news when it's so disturbing?
We're like getting a century of bad news
in like
every week.
Yeah, we really are. And is it because there is more? This is what my producer always says. Sebastian's great. He's got an amazing mind. And he's like, is it because there's more bad, or is it because we just get more news? And that's where, that's when I don't think, let's not to get too deep into this, I don't think we were made to absorb this much news. I don't think
our brains have evolved at that pace yet. I think we're still a couple iterations behind the minds that can process all that.
Yeah, that's the problem, ultimately. So, anyway.
It's time for a break, but I will be right back with James, and then I will have one quick thing before I go about a TV show I am pretty hung up on at the moment. It is blazing up the Netflix charts, and it is called Hunting Wives. So stick around for that at the end.
Hey, it's John Moe from Depeche Mode. Every week on our show, we have honest, humane conversations with artists, entertainers, and experts about what it's like to live with an interesting mind. I just interviewed Gavin Rossdale from the band Bush. You might be wondering, what would a successful, handsome, popular musician know about mental health? Turns out, lots.
All the time we're forced into happy situations, sad situations, challenging situations, happy, sad, challenging. And it just never ends. And why should it? We're just the sum of all these journeys.
Check out Depeche Mode with John Moe every Monday at MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you been looking for a new podcast all about nerdy pop culture? Well, I have just the thing for you. Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries.
Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries is a weekly pop culture history podcast hosted by me, host Alston.
And me, host Brenda. We've already tackled mysteries such as what happened to the puppets from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Is Snoopy Mexican? And why do people hate Barney so much?
From theme parks to cartoons to 80s, 90s, and 2000s nostalgia, we tackle it all.
Check us out every Tuesday on MaximumFun.org and wherever you get podcasts.
Watching Rocky, and like this is like it's an Italian-American story, and like even watching it now, I was like, these are people who are living fucking paycheck to paycheck.
Yes.
And they're doing the best they can. And like that whole meltdown that Rocky has at Mickey when Mickey like is finally offering to help him.
My favorite scene.
And he just freaks out about like in my shitty apartment and it stinks.
Exactly.
And just like the daily goings on that kind of allow everybody to compartmentalize how fucking hard everything is.
Yeah.
Legs are going, everything is going, no one's getting enough. Guy comes up, offers me a fight. Big deal. Want to fight the fight? Yeah, I'll fight the big fight. I wouldn't want to fight that big fight. What's going to happen to me? I want to get that. I want to get that. And you want me ringside and see it? Do you? You want to help me out? Huh? Do you want to see me get my face kicked in? Legs ain't working. Nothing's working. They go on, fight the chair. Yeah, I'll fight him. My face kicked in. You come around here, you want to move in here with me? Come on in, it's a nice house. Real nice, come on in and move. It stinks. This whole place stinks. Want to help me out? Well, help me out. Come on, help me out, I'm standing there.
And even his friend Paulie too. Like, what about a little bit for Paulie? I can't haul beef anymore.
Exactly.
And then suddenly, like, the reality of like how difficult the cumulative experience it is of just having the least and trying to get by with it is. And then thinking of like we were talking about First Blood, where that is a dense political commentary on post-Vietnam America, and having talked to you about like the smuggler's cinema in the past, like Trojan horsing things into sort of entertainment. And in The Home, what it again, the ending of this is so electric. I was literally yelling in my living room, and was very happy to see Pete Davidson getting that chance to do what he was doing. But it was like, you take that guise of like, there's so much horror, not from an exploitative sense of putting old folks on screen and older actors and giving them a chance to play something like meaty and delicious. But like, there is both kind of, it's like this black box of how elders are treated in our society. And you hear so much about bad facilities and elder abuse.
Yes.
And then there's like psycho biddies and exploited it, like hagsploitation kind of thing.
Yes.
But like the fact that this is such an invisible demographic in society because we discard them.
Yes.
It like, there is so much to be like said there in the tragedy of that, and then so much room in the sort of horror space to be like, and because it's invisible, anything can happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it feels too like this is also a movie with like a lot on its mind to go into the topics that you do with it.
Yeah, it was always the intent to smuggle, which I love smuggling, stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to preach. I think I always say that's the fine line, right? That's why I think horror and sci-fi is the best vessel for smuggling, because you could hide inside the genre and the metaphor of it all. Because I don't think audience, I learned that in The Purge, I don't think they like to be preached to. I think that, I think in 4 and 5, I wrote 4 and 5, I didn't direct 4 and 5, but I began to preach a little too much. So it was a fine line. I was so angry with the current state of affairs in the country that I began preaching within the movie to get my kind of purge my own feelings out within so there's a fine line. So in doing The Home, I'm like, okay, I have to do it there's got to be more subterfuge here. We got to like really get it in there without punching people in the face with my feelings about the world and whatnot.
I love 4 and 5.
You do?
I love 4 and 5.
I do too.
One of the earliest like movies that me and my wife connected, like when I was like, have you watched? And she'd never seen them. She fucking loves the Purge movies.
Oh, that's great.
She's Swedish and she loves the Purge movies.
Really?
Yeah, and she was like, really, this is it? This is you guys. Like, this is crazy.
Europeans really do like it. They like it because it is they see it as some form of America. Yeah. Yeah.
and I thought The Forever Purge was so good.
Listen, that was of all the scripts I wrote, that was my favorite. That was mine. I thought Everardo did a great job.
I was chilled,
yeah.
And I had a fucking blast.
Oh, thank you.
So to me,
thank you.
You found the balance.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. But in the home, so I was trying to be a little, have a little more subtlety in my not punch too hard. And the main thing was, it was how do we treat elder care? But the real thing I was trying to get at was this generational kind of battle. That what is? I guess I started, now that I have a daughter who's turning 15. At the time, she was probably turning 12 when I wrote it. Mm-hmm. I was like, what are we leaving this next generation? What are we giving them this planet? Not only climate change, but politically, what are we leaving them with? Where's this going? And I don't know if you remember, there's a moment where Pete goes to the 4th floor and there's a video playing on all the TVs.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about fracking. It's about taking gas and oil from the earth. But it's done so in a way, it's an actual old video from the 40s we found.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, that looks like real archival footage.
Yeah, it was all. And it's about the beauty of doing it. What a great resource, raping the planet. They don't use the word raping, but they were raping the planet. But they're doing it with this jovial voice, like like it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, we can do this forever. There will be no consequences.
No consequences. What a beautiful thing. We'll make a lot of money.
No one will ever have to pay for this.
Exactly. It's liquid gold. So the metaphor of what they were doing I don't want to give too much away, what they're doing to the youth in the movie, what they were doing to the planet. So climate change suddenly emerged as a subtle thematic. And I thought that's why Pete also became a very important. Pete, I thought, represents, I think, in not only, kind of in the zeitgeist, he's very representative of this current generation. I think right? He's got the tattoos, now that he's losing them, but there's something about Pete. Pete's, he's young. He's one of the youth of America, right? He was going to be on, I think Bezos wanted him to be on we were shooting The Home, and he was literally talking to astronauts every day from set. No joke. I'm like, who are you talking to?
Insane.
Like, I'm talking to a bunch of astronauts. They want me to come on this vessel to go into space. They want me to represent America as youth.
Make him a space influencer.
Exactly. Now
wow,
something changed his dates or something, and he couldn't do it because we were shooting. I feel like I took that from him. But I thought Pete represented new generation. Then we had guys, obviously John Glover and Ethan Johnny Phillips and all the Mary Beth Peel, these Bruce Altman, representing the boomers who
Yeah.
are. So it was like this generational war.
Yeah. It's an excellent lineup of veteran actors that you have in this film.
Thank you. And we,
Excellent.
great group of actors. It's just like very lucky. Very lucky.
Now, my time is expiring,
Oh,
and
is it really?
I just want to keep
I
talking
can keep
to you.
talking, yes.
I know. I just want to keep talking to you, and I suppose I will end with kind of like an enterprise question, which is like, if you're dipping your toe, if you're wading back into the Purge universe, and it's sort of like a knowing what we know now, what is your sort of state of mind going into sort of bringing this universe back around compared to what it was when you were first writing it? It was brand new, and it's like, okay, we got to take a chance. This independent, claustrophobic, like trapped in one location thriller, and it is expanded to something so wild over the course of its run, and how the world has moved since those movies have come out. Is it like, I'm less hopeful, I'm more hopeful, I'm more galvanized, I'm more angry, I'm more observational? Like, how are you feeling as a person? And in this place, like, perhaps writing it in a place where your hometown, as you've understand it for decades in your life, has become a more polarized place politically.
Absolutely.
How does that inform bringing this, like, very electric and alive world back around?
Anger.
Yeah.
I guess I do have a lot of anger at what's happened. I feel like we're devolving. I don't want to exclude myself. I could be devolving too, meaning I'm not.
No, it feels like people are trying to unmake the 20th century.
Exactly.
So
It feels like we're just going backwards
horrible.
in so many ways. And I get, listen, both sides. I don't want to, become polarized, but there's good and bad on both sides. I'm more on one side, but we won't get into that. But I'm angry, and I think that always informs my Purge writing. It always does. I think there are some writers who maybe write from I always say writing is almost like a full contact sport. I don't like writers just like they sit and it's nice. I don't think it's nice writing. I sometimes run in circles. I drink alcohol. I blast crazy music, and I feel like it's a full contact sport for me where I'm writing from a very visceral place. I think especially the Purge movies or any horror, I write from very visceral and really deep in it, and I feel like I've got to be in it. I actually get lost in it, I think, in a way. So I think for the Purge, since I am coming from such an angry place, what's happening in our planet, in our country, that it definitely informs where the Purge will go. Yet I do like to, and here's the weird, I guess, incongruity to that I write from an angry place because of what I perceive as injustice happening everywhere. But I try to infuse the Purge with hope.
Yeah.
From such a nihilistic, dark conceit, right? It's an incredibly dark, nihilistic conceit. Not that I want people to go back and analyze. I try to always give some humanity towards the end, that there is hope for people. Love exists, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Community exists. So yes, I'm writing from an angry place, but I think that my hope for people and my love of people does seep in there and inform where I eventually take it in that third act. And I think I'm doing that. The new one, this is more of a gender political film, than just governmental political. But it's coming from a place of perceived injustices in our society. But again, I hope I infuse hope, because I don't want. God, there's a place and time for nihilism in film, and right. But then there's a place and time to have people walk out of a theater and say, okay, maybe there's something we can look forward to here.
No, what I find myself very drawn to in this moment is I'm desperately searching for, like, learning about and reading about, like, experiences of triumph out of hardship in the past.
Exactly.
To be like, people kept trying.
Yes.
Like, things were horrible, but these people kept going, and because of that, we can be here. Okay.
Yes.
People kept going when it was seemingly against impossible odds and devastated, etc. So, like, I hear it. I too, I am not relinquishing hope. I am in fact clinging to it at every
Exactly. There's anger, but right, we gotta keep fighting, and we'll find something. There'll be a rainbow soon, right? We'll see something in the distance that we can grab onto and run towards.
We got to get to the top of those stairs.
Exactly.
We got to keep running to get to the top of the stairs.
No, it's so true. He just wanted to go
and have
go
our
the
moment.
Distance. Exactly.
Arms
like
raised.
Exactly. It is a great watch right now because it's the journey of hope eventually, right? It's a man who never gives up, and it's all that cliched, but it's done so beautifully. See Rocky, everybody.
Well, James, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad I've gotten to talk to you again.
Thank you.
everybody find The Home and watch it for a Pete Davidson you really do not expect. And again, the end.
Yes.
Stick around, everybody.
Yeah, stick around for the end, people. Yeah, it's a good
one. Watch it all the way through.
Yes.
But yes, thank you so much,
Jordan,
James.
thank you.
I really appreciate your time.
Always great talking. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you so much to James DeMonaco. The Home is in theaters right now. And, you know, he's The Purge, one of the great American franchises. A Staten Island classic, we can definitely call it, with some real favorite sons of the borough. Go support these down-home boys making some independent cinema. And if you haven't seen it in a while, or you only know it by its legend, go ahead and check out Rocky. It won that Best Picture Oscar for a reason, and I can almost assure you that you are going to cry at least once. It's everything it's cracked up to be, you guys. And now that one quick thing before I go, like I mentioned before, it's a TV show this time. And it's doing quite well on Netflix. It doesn't need my help. But things get lost in the morass of content. So I just wanted to shout this one out. It feels like Netflix gave the mandate of like, we want a Yellowstone, but trashier. And that is so totally complimentary as I say it. We open, the first episode introduces us to our sort of point of view character. It's Brittany Snow, the Brittany Snow. I mean, this is why I started watching the show in the first place. Brittany Snow, she is a transplant new to East Texas. She has been living in Cambridge with her husband and child, and they are recently relocated to the American Southwest. And her husband needs to attend a party for his boss, a all hat, maybe a lot of cattle. We don't know yet. It's early on and I don't want to spoil anything. Big time guy played by a Texas businessman, maybe eyeing a vie for public office, played by Dermot Mulroney. And he is hosting this soiree where our young married couple is going to go glad hand with the Texans. Brittany is very uncomfortable, her character. She doesn't fit in with these Southern folk. And honestly, she's kind of a bummer at this party. And I'd like to see her make more of an effort. But that's not the point. The point is at the party, she meets the rich man's wife, Margot. And Margot is played by Malin Ackerman, who I really thought slipped into her best character yet as the rich, take no shit wife of Damian Lewis's character in the show Billions in the early seasons. And she is back in another I've married into money role, and I will be the dominatrix of everything around me kind of personality. She has a lot of money. She's got no one telling her no. She's the good time trophy wife of Mr. Big Hat. And she immediately takes a shine to Brittany Snow's character. And to a degree where, like, the immediacy of the homoerotic making eyes at each other that start, like, this happens within minutes of the show starting. And you can just feel, like, streaming network notes on a pilot script. It's like, actually, no, we want more sexual tension. We want more teased adultery. We want more sex. We want more Southern ladies being impolite. We want, give us a First Amendment party. Give us anti-PC. This ain't no woke show. And, like, they lay it on so thick from the very jump. They want to hook you to keep watching this show, to see more sex, to see more suggestion, to see more older ladies being cougars, to see more fish out of water finding her way into the arms of the local richest lady in town. I mean, it is nighttime soap material to the maximum degree. And I am hooked, and I am seated, and I will continue to watch. And it seems now like we're not just going to get gay bait. I think it's really going to get gay. And that's very exciting. We got to shout out a show that keeps the promises that it makes. And shouts out to Malin Ackerman. It sounds like she loves playing this Margot character. I love that she loves playing bitchy, rich American women. She is a Swedish gal herself. And I also have to shout out for the Swedish pride in the household that I live in. So yeah, Hunting Wives. It is on Netflix. Like I said, it is a high placement in the streaming charts, but that doesn't mean you'll find it, because it's hard to find things on streaming because everything lives there and we are in an ocean of content trying not to drown. But that is it. That is our show. You can get out there and find Hunting Wives, the Purge franchise, Rocky, and have a very diverse viewing party for yourself. And that is it. You can keep up with us wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us wherever you're listening to get every new episode in your feed as it arrives. You can follow us to find out more about the show on Instagram. We're at Feeling Seen Pod. We are also on Blue Sky. Just search Feeling Seen or Jorcru, Jorcru. That's me, where it can also be found on Twitter. Our theme music is by Andrew Epen. The show is produced by Marissa Flaxbart. Our senior producers are Kevin Ferguson and Laura Swisher, and this is a production of Maximum Fun.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows,
supported directly by you.